Hey everybody, my name is Holly Lamb and welcome to Lamb Living. Today the star of our show is my spray paint table in our side yard down here beside the deck with my old piano, which is now a place for ferns. We have my spray paint table, which serves me very well down here. Got my hydrangeas from Easter's past, and it actually is two tables. The bottom part, the top had rusted out, and the top part, the legs didn't work, so together they make the perfect place for me to come down, give something a spray, let it sit out in the sun. And behind that window is my kitchen counter, and that's where I do most of my crafting. So let's get to flipping. My first project comes from my Family Dollar. The Family Dollar still has a lot of things for $1, and including these tiles, which are still $1. You can pay $1.25 at the Dollar Tree. The summer decor is getting kind of scarce in my Family Dollar, but these little guys caught my eye. And it's such a cute little metal display. We'll get back to that cheese grater in just a little while. I found him in the bins. And so I'm just going to give him a coat of spray paint. Now, I'm going to be using a mixture of different off-whites, Heirloom White, Ivory Bisque, Ivory Silk. I've got lots of spray paint cans that I'm trying to use up. So I'm going to be using kind of a mixture of those on all my flips today. There we go. And boy, getting all the details of this bicycle took some time. And of course I will flip it over and give it as many coats as it needs on the other side. I didn't worry about the bottom parts because that's going to go into the ground. And then I'm just going to do some Mod Podging and decoupage. Now I'm going to be using this Mod Podge, which is the dishwasher safe, which now you saw is at the Dollar Tree. And that is new to me. I've seen the gloss and the matte, but I've never seen the blue label, which is the dishwasher safe. So I'm just going to tear up my napkin here. I pulled off the back layer and I set it off to wipe down paintbrushes and whatnot. But this is, I'm just going to give a light coat and I'm going to do the petals. So I made sure I used the straight cuts of these napkins and put it right up to the center of my flower. And I'm going to do every other petal, let it dry, and then I will come back and get the edges off of that. I'm just leaving it kind of natural right now, but I will clean it up with a nail file in just a little while after it dries completely. So I put that little straight edge right on the center and then added a little bit of the dishwasher safe. This is going to go outside, so it needs to be kind of tough and protected. Now, in the end, after I finish all my decoupage, I am going to seal it with my Rustoleum gloss sealer, just a clear, so that it is, weather ready. It's raining right now outside, actually. And so this needed, I have to keep this in mind because this one's going outside in my, in the mulch, in my flower bed. There we go. I think that was the first time I actually showed you the piano. That piano went out into the flower beds last year, and I haven't told that story yet, but someday I'll have to tell you the whole story about moving the piano out into the flower bed. That was the day. But it is brings me a lot of nice memories, but it was beyond repair, so it went out in the flower beds, and now I get to remember it. And we got a new piano in the piano room. All right, so I'm going to do the little flowers as well. They're connected to this kind of with a little strip of metal. And so I'm able to kind of bend and move them around a little bit. And each of the petals is also, of course, all this is made out of metal, so it'll go outside well. But it also, the metal will move a little bit. It's not super thick, so it's nice that I can kind of lift up the petals. And you see I finished those and I've done my sanding. I'm just using a real fine tiny emery board here that I get at Walmart, and so I can get in all the little crevices, and it has a nice grit to it on one side. One side is very fine, for your nails, but one side, you know, gets the job done very well, and we'll get down into those cracks and crevices. And if I need to, I can take an X-Acto and get anything that's being ornery. But you see, I have some of them kind of bent up where I can get to them, and then I can bend them right back down so that when I do the other sides, here I come in after everything's all, you know, sanded away. And we're just going to decoupage that on with that dishwasher safe Mod Podge, which gives it a nice solid base. It says on the instructions on that dishwasher safe Mod Podge that it takes 29 days to actually cure for the dishwasher. But this one's sitting outside right now, so I hope it's okay. Of course, I am putting that Rustoleum cover on it as well. And also, now these are the ceramic paints from the Dollar Tree. They're relatively new. They came out this spring, to my knowledge. But they, of course, they will take the heat because they're supposed to be baked in an oven to be set. So, you know, South Georgia, it gets, you know, to 100 degrees here quite regularly in the summer. And so I thought this would be the perfect paint to add to this, to add a little center to our flowers. And so I added a little bit of gold and put a little bit of black. Not much, just enough to darken it up. That's the first coat. I'm going to put another coat of just gold on top to make our centers. There we go. Our cute little flowers. I just love how that's in the basket there. Just nice and fun. I also put 2 coats of the gold only ceramic paint on the little welcome there in the center. So it kind of brought it out. You can see that I put, this is the second coat going on. I let those dry in between, and I actually am just stippling this on. The ceramic paint is thin, but it will stipple on really nicely. And then here we go. It was already about 9 o'clock. It was dark, but it certainly was still very warm, and the wind was blowing nicely, so I knew that spray paint would do just fine. So this is the spray paint table in the evening. And you can hear the chimes. The wind was blowing so beautifully, and my chimes were putting on quite a concert. And so here we go, right down in the mulch in my purple queens. And I love the way those bright flowers are for summer. That napkin did such a beautiful job. I got that napkin in a napkin swap last year. We did some challenges last year with napkins, and some crafters, I can't even remember who sent them to me, but sent me those napkins, and I had 3 left, and so that was perfect for this project. I love it. All right, so we're back at the spray paint table, and I'm spraying down that cheese grater, and you can see I'm coming out with different coats. The bicycle was still on there, getting more coats. And that's what's nice about that spray paint table. I can just leave things out there to dry, and I can come back out and just give it another coat, flip it over and give another coat, you know, whenever I can, which is nice. And so I'm just taking my block from the Dollar Tree, and I am, you know, sanding this down a little bit, just giving a little bit of distress. I like a little bit of distress on some things. I like to decorate with kitchen items that I find at the bins or at thrift stores for a really good price. And this is a cheese grater, so my poor sanding block took a real beating here. Now I'll show you how I finish off that after this one. I was in the Restore here, the Habitat for Humanity store, and I always check out this set of shelves where they put the baskets. And so I took home a couple of things. They have we have a Too Hot to Bicker sale going on right now. They always have a sale at the Restore, but it's 50% off the whole store. And so it is hard to refuse a lot of good deals. Now, somebody had sprayed this huge, real nice, sturdy wicker basket, silver, which I thought was interesting. I also found some easels there, so some random easels that I'm going to flip and make all this off-white color, whichever color I'm using there. Probably the Heirloom White is my favorite, but I did have some Ivory Bisque and an Ivory Silk that I tried to use up. And so I've given those easels, you'll see those in the end, we're all getting to be one color here, so we all match. And this basket was big, and so it took a while. I did put a coat of primer on it to start, a white primer, but I'm now putting the ivory. Okay, now I have to give credit to the Crafting Cousins for this idea. I saw Kay from the Crafting Cousins do this this past spring, and she took one of these bath sponges, little scrunchies, and she used it for ribbon. And so I thought, when I saw that display and I saw the off-white, and I knew that was kind of my theme for my spray painting, and so I thought, I'm going to try this, and I thought it was a great idea. This worked out fantastic. Look at the texture. It will go outside easily, because I'm spray painting all this with a Rustoleum gloss in the end. It's going to be durable. This ribbon would be super durable outside if I choose to put it outside. I used 2 zip ties. Actually, I used 3 zip ties on my 3 loop bows. One to just secure it to begin with after putting the 3 loops and the tail in. And then another one to put that little center loop in. And then I slide a zip tie under that second zip tie to put it on my basket there. So that's the 3rd zip tie. And look, this bath sponge turned out to be a beautiful ribbon, a beautiful bow. Now, I made this real big one to show you how much it comes out for my basket, and so that's a good size one. Oh, and I use these. These are in the Dollar Tree right now. They are clips for your hair, but they're butterflies, and look how pretty they are with pearls and little, rhinestones and whatnot. And they are, $1.25 each, but they're big, sturdy. I mean, you could use them in your hair great. My hair's pretty short, so that would be a big clip for me. I like to put a clip in my hair, but that one's kind of big. But, I mean, look how pretty it is just sitting in that bow. All right, so here's the rest of it. And I decided, there was still a lot left. I decided to put it on my cheese grater. There we go. And I'm deciding for my tails. And I'm going to cut that piece. And then the rest of it, I'm cutting fringe on the end of this one. I dovetailed the one on the basket. But this one I'm going to cut fringe on the end. It's hard to even tell because the beautiful texture of this, I say material, it's some kind of mesh, whatever bath sponges are. And, it technically, I guess, is some kind of plastic, but it looks so pretty on this off-white decor that I've spray painted. And so I do the same thing, 3 zip ties. There goes one to secure it. And then I'm using a little bit of that tail to make a little loop right there for the center. There's number 2. I'll slide a zip tie under. There it goes. And then I'll trim off those 2. 1, 2. And there we go. Our 3rd zip tie. That's going to hold it to the cheese grater. Yep. Nicely distressed. And I'm not even worried about sealing this cheese grater, even if it goes outside on the deck. If it throws a little bit of rust grows on it, great. I think that would add to the look. And look at this bow. So I was able to make 2 puffy little bows. I do tame this one a little bit. It's a little big for my grater. But 2 good sized bows out of that bath sponge. I thought it was a great idea. So thank you, Kay. What a fun way to add a little texture to our ribbons and bows. I love it. Now I just took 2 magnolia picks and just kind of slid them down in those long slits on the sides, and they held very well. No glue or anything. They're just tucked in there. And I just love the way that turned out. I love to use things like that here in my kind of dining area. This is in the kitchen, right beside where I have my crafting. And those butterflies just I swapped the butterflies and moved the pearl one over to the big basket. Okay, now we all have these, or I do. I'm a sucker for these garden stakes. I love to put them in my in my pots out in the back and in the front. And so this is a Valentine's Day one, and I'm going to spray paint both sides. And then these stencils I got at Walmart, and they are in their normal crafters aisle. And I'm going to be using these beautiful transfers on this to add kind of a summery look to them, to my truck. And so I'm trying to decide. You get 4 sheets. These are from Dixie Belle, and they are having a sale. It is their 10th year anniversary of Dixie Belle, paints and whatnot. And so they have a lot of their transfers for $10. And so I got these 4 huge sheets of beautiful transfers for $10. And I looked when I linked my the website down below in the description box. I looked, and they still have some of their transfers for $10 if you want to check it out, see what they have left. But anyway, so I am of course going to get it ready here. Now this is a take off the backing, but I put the backing back under part of my flower while I do the kind of butterfly part, because this truck, as we all know, they are molded into this little truck. It's metal, these garden stakes. So I want my transfer to go up and over all these bumps and grooves. If I don't, I'm going to get a lot of cracks, which is not a bad thing. I'm not totally against it looking kind of distressed, but I wanted to try to keep the integrity of the picture as much as possible. If there was a little crack here or there, I was okay with that. Okay, so now the little butterfly goes up into where the hearts were, and so that looks very pretty. And I'm going to get my palette here of some acrylic paints I've used in past videos. And this little palette from Michaels keeps them nice and fresh, so I love this little palette. So I decided to do kind of a two-tone on my Seek Adventure. And I get out my JRV, a 3/4 inch stencil brush, which is my favorite. I'm going to offload lots of this yellow. I like to load up the end of a dry brush, get it good and loaded, and then kind of offload. And you can see there on the opposite side of the palette where I'm getting rid of that paint. And there we go. Perfect stenciling, even with the bumpy texture of this truck. I just held that stencil, very still, and lightly dabbed. I don't brush or swirl. I dab. That's how I do my stencils, and I have a lot of luck with that. I do not have any luck with swirling or brushing stencils, but dabbing works for me. So I'm just using a baby wipe to clean it off real quick and dry it off with a paper towel, because I'm going to come back and mix a little bit of that bright pink and the dark blue and make some purple to match the flower right there. And now the Seek Adventure has dried. This acrylic paint dries so quickly. Of course, I'm just putting on little light coats. And with my clean stencil, I am dabbing it right on top. And there we go. Yep, clean it off. There we go. Now, I like to fill in the bridges of the stencil. I did it on the yellow part too, but I wanted to show you close up. All stencils are going to have a little bit of bridges, and some people are okay with that. I prefer to, dab those in, and I'm just taking a very tiny detail brush, and I'm not painting it in. I'm just, simulating that dabbing motion and filling in those spots. Now, after all that dried, I am coming back in with the stem that was left and making a little stripe for our truck with the stem that was left. I don't like to waste any transfers. There we go. And then just because I can't leave it alone and I have all these gorgeous flowers left, be careful with these round transfers while I'm rolling this up, because if the backing comes off those transfers while you're messing with them or unrolling them and sticks to your mat or to the opposite side of the backing paper, it will ruin the transfer. So these that are rolled up in these tubes, like the Dixie Belle ones, they will, they will very quickly get stuck to something I don't want them to get stuck to if I'm not careful. So I just, put that out there, that if you get the tube kind, be careful when you're unrolling and rolling them, because they will ruin quickly otherwise. I know by experience. And so back out in the front yard here on the deck, I put them in this pot with this beautiful yellow, it's a little tiny petunia. And there's our little Seek Adventure truck, looking so fun. I actually put some of the transfers on the back as well, so that when I'm coming out of the front door, I can see some pretty flowers in the back. And I thought those nice bright colors matched our pretty flower on the bicycle. Oh, so cheerful in the front. So that's one of those garden stakes. Just a little spray paint and some transfers. How fun. Okay, now this is a thrift store in Brunswick called Gather. It's a great youth organization that has a thrift store. And so that red, white, and blue Patriotic basket got my attention. And so I found this Dixie Belle paint at the Restore. It had $3 on the top, and whatever percent off they were giving that particular day, probably 30%, something like that. And so I'm just going to freshen this up just a tad. It just had some sun, wear, just a little bit of, it was just off color, just a little bit. So I'm going to take this Bunker Hill blue, and I'm going to paint it on, but then I'm going to take a baby wipe, and I'm going to kind of distress it back because it's too blue, in full coats there. And I'm just going to, with my baby wipe, kind of wipe it over those stars, but just keep it nice and light. And then I'll dab, dab, dab right on the top of the caning on the top, just to kind of make the blues match and come together. And then just kind of distress it with my baby wipe so that you can see a little bit of that cane coming back through. And then I'm going to take it outside to the table, and I'm going to spray it with the gloss, because it's going to sit inside for a little while, but when it gets closer to 4th of July, this will go out on the front porch with my decorations. So I want it good and sealed up. And it was windy night this night, but it dried pretty quick. You can see it's kind of windy. But that gloss paint with just a little bit of that blue paint just made this basket look brand new again. I love the red and the kind of cane color for the red and white on the bottom. Now these are 97 cents, I think, 98 cents from Walmart. And I use those for the greenery inside our basket. I'm not putting any kind of, foam or any kind of floral anything in the bottom. I'm just going to place them in there all the way around. And then one in the middle. And then I'm just going to intermittently put in these Dollar Tree red, white, and blue flowers. We've seen these. They've had these for years. Actually, these are from my stash, so they are old. But they're in the Dollar Tree right now. They keep coming back because they're super cute. And I love the texture of them. Goes with this fun summer greenery. All right. And I'm just going to kind of poke these in here. And that is a fast flip with just a little bit of paint and some spray paint, that gloss spray paint. And then here are these easels I've had out on the spray paint table for many days, getting lots of different layers of paint so they all went together. And here I've got some books on them. I even have it kind of sitting up a little bit on that book. And I have a big shell in one. And then this one is holding a very special card because, and I've been waiting to put this in a video because it's been hard for me to deal with, but my sweet companion, my buddy, he passed away 2 weeks ago. And so this card is very special to me. Our Sweet Island Animal Hospital donated a tree in his memory. And we thought that was so sweet of them. Toby, we adopted him when they thought he was about 3 years old from the Humane Society, the animal rescue here in town. And we had him for 13 years. So you'll be very missed, buddy. But we have lots of happy memories, and that's what we will hold on to. I wanted to get through that. All right. So, with the wonderful memories of my sweet Toby, I want to thank you so much for watching. Let me leave this scripture with you. 1 Peter 5:7, throw all your anxiety onto him because he cares for you. And God does care for us. And those pets are pretty special to us. So if you're missing a loved one today, a little pet, or any loved one, please hang on to that scripture because he does care for us. God loves us very much. I'm very thankful for our country that we live in, and I just love the way that those flowers look in this newly refreshed basket. Well done, Toby. God bless. Thank you for watching, and from the Blue House on the Corner, finding strength and comfort in the Holy Spirit. God bless, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.